sorry, my music was just like a hair off. It was like the next bar started and we need to crop it up a little bit, but good afternoon and welcome for anyone who might be joining us. We're live streaming on 3 networks right now, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. I got my Instagram live stream to work as well. Before I introduce my guest, Natalie Benaumou, I want to invite our audience, if you happen to be watching live right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram, drop a comment below and let me know. My son was just texting me, Natalie, and he said he just posted something on LinkedIn, and I said, go watch me live on LinkedIn right now too. So I'm trying to get him to come over and watch it. So we'll keep our fingers crossed there. As we are waiting for those comments to start rolling in, I want to introduce my guest, Natalie. And Natalie, did I say it correctly? Benamou.
Benamou.
Benamou. Okay, I put an extra Y in there that really wasn't needed for whatever reason. Right? Mm-hmm. You and I met each other from Innovation Women, and I'm trying to even remember, I don't know if we got into a chat or something on a call, and then we kind of went off on our own and chatted a bit more. We clicked so well. You invited me to come on your podcast, and I said, you got to come on mine too. So for those that are watching, whether live or in playback, maybe haven't heard of you, Natalie, why don't you take a minute or two, tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do? Who do you help? What do you help them with?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, after having a long career in trade shows, I did my first big pivot, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I started her C-suite. We have had a few pivots along the way, which we'll also talk about. And we are focused on supporting women in the second half of our careers as a portfolio career company and leadership network for women. We offer masterminds, as well as we just launched Next to Lead AI, a program where women are driving the AI conversation. And I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. I was wondering if you're going to say anything about AI, because just before the show, I grabbed a screen capture of your header. I put it in my outro video at the end. You'll see it at the end here. But it talks about your AI focus right now as well. So I was glad to hear that in your introduction, and maybe we'll hear a little bit more about that. And we are here today. I'm going to pull the topic up on screen. We're here today talking about the best time to make a pivot. And you and I have both experienced pivots in our own lives as well, and a lot to talk to you about today. But first, let's just talk about, when you say pivot, what are you referring to, Natalie?
I think pivot means something different for everyone. But before I even answer that, I just have to say how excited I am to be here with you. I'm so excited. Michiganders at heart, just for all our Michigan friends. And yes, we did hit it off right away. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think that when people hear the word pivot, it means something different depending on where you are in your career and your life. For some people, it could mean I want to make a pivot and I'm going to go to a new company. It could mean an internal pivot and I'm ready to do a lattice or level up in a company. I want to get to the C-suite, or I want to, land a board role. Or if you're doing a portfolio career, making a pivot happens when you're trying to figure it out and navigate where you're going. And if you're an entrepreneur, as you know, entrepreneurs have to be especially flexible in what's happening. And I started out as a company that I was seeking funding, and I went into Delaware. That's a whole story. I got out of Delaware, made a pivot out of Delaware back into Illinois. So there are a pivot can be a little step or it could be a big step. And it just depends on where you are in your life and your career.
Yeah. Absolutely. And when I said pivot, immediately after I asked you the question, I was thinking of that episode of Friends, Pivot, which means, like big couch scene, like we're pivoting around the corner. It was funny. As soon as I said, what does pivot mean? I hear Ross going, pivot. But so lots of things to pull from there. Pivot could be in your career, moving upward, going sideways, maybe getting out of that career, trying something different. It could be a location pivot. And I loved how you talked about when you're self-employed, making pivots as well. I think about where I'm at with my business right now, 8 years, coming up on 9 years now. And where I am today is a bit different than where I was to begin with. And I think a lot of us who are self-employed have come to understand that the riding that wave of the market, and kind of paying close attention to what your customers or needs are, what the demands in the market are as well. But I think you work a lot with individuals who are in a corporate career. Is that fair to say? Or are you working with self-employed as well?
I work with actually doing the demographics most founders, a lot of
Yeah.
founders and
Mm,
entrepreneurs and people that have left their corporate career. So I kind of help the transition, the pivot
gotcha.
to leaving corporate. And then what?
Mhm.
There's a drop off. When you leave your corporate role, and especially when I left, I had a team and a lot of people, a lot of demands. And then all of a sudden, it's like there's you don't have a full calendar. You're
Right.
not on the phone all the time. And that happens to everyone. And it's different for each person. And that's why, figuring out what's next is really
Mhm.
can be alarming and hard for some people. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it just depends. It's different for everybody. But yes, in answer to your question, I
More
started
so with
out with
founders.
corporate
Yep.
and we were all in it together. We were all like, we're vice presidents and we want to get to the C-suite. And it has evolved from there. And so now we're quite a lot of founders and people on boards. That's really our demographic.
Good to know. So let's get into this conversation. We're here to talk about when is the best time to make a
Yeah.
pivot. So what would you say? Is there a best time? What do you think?
I think when your cup is no longer full and it's drained, and
Mm,
I know that we have mutual friends and speaker friends that
yes.
talk about burnout, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to take an extreme thing like that to decide that it's time to make a change. It really is what is not lifting you up anymore. And you can make little adjustments along the way. So whether you're in a company or you are, on your own, whatever is not lighting you up anymore, that's
Mhm.
really what when is the starting point. So you don't have
Mhm.
to do it like I'm going to make a pivot tomorrow.
Right.
I don't recommend that, but you have to be open to the ideas that are going to start flowing once you are thinking about it.
I think often too, Natalie, that pivots happen not by choice and sometimes not by circumstances that you can control.
Yes.
And I've experienced that as a company founder and also as a corporate employee. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the most important thing you can do is surround yourself with the right people.
Mhm.
When I had at one point in my career, a very unexpected um, event. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Mhm.
On a Friday night at 5 o'clock. And I had a
Mm.
full amount of trade shows. It was trade shows. And I had to make a decision really fast because I had trade shows coming up. And because I had a strong network, I had 3 job offers the next day, and I ended up having a job on Tuesday. That doesn't happen to
Wow.
everybody, right?
Mhm.
But because I was connected, because I was staying in conversations with people in my industry, people knew of me, they knew my reputation, they knew my results. And so it's really important that long before you're ready to make a change, who do you know? Who are you talking with? And are you offering value to them? Not because you're expecting something in return, but you're offering value, and that positions you as an expert that they know they can rely on and trust.
Mhm.
And so I think you have to build trust in who you surround yourself with so that when you're ready to make when those unexpected moments happen, because it
Right?
happens to everyone,
Yeah.
you're ready, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, having that network, surrounding yourself with people who you are supporting. It's almost like we're making deposits into their bank account, so to speak, and then when we need to make a withdrawal in the form of "help me, support me," we've got a balance that's in the account. Is that kind
Mhm.
of a good analogy?
Yeah, one of my favorite terms that I learned from Roz Usheroff, who has been on my show, she's been a mentor, she's amazing, net
Mhm.
giving.
I love
So
it, yeah.
instead of networking, net giving. And so if
Mhm.
you think about it, you're not doing it because you're expecting something in reciprocity. You're doing it because genuinely I have a problem where I connect dots all the time. So if someone tells me something, I just see Minority Report and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to connect these dots. And so if you are around people like that can connect dots for you when something happens, you are better prepared to make those decisions, and you should not make them alone. You should not make it in a void. You should not decide, I'm going to do this really big thing and not have any advice unless it's unexpected, right? There are
Right.
transitions that you're like, okay, I didn't see that coming, but you've
Mhm.
paved the way so that you're ready for that, for those moments. And then that's when you go to your network, who
Mhm.
you've net given to and are
Yeah.
happy to boomerang back, right? Without even thinking about it. They just are happy to help.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great concept. If you see me looking off to the side, I'm doing a little net giving as we're doing the live stream today, because anytime we mention people, I like to drop a comment into the chat. Like a little while ago, I did a shout out to Innovation Women
Yay.
and Bobby Carlton. So we were talking about Speaker Friend Fridays. That's how we met. And it's an organization that's helping to get more women on stages, created by Bobby Carlton. The organization is called Innovation Women. Men come to the call too, but typically it's predominantly women because it's really supporting women and getting into speaking. So I did a little shout out to her. And I learned recently that Innovation Women, I know like pages don't really get the notifications. She's not paying as close attention to those. So I said, anytime I tag Innovation Women, I'll tag Bobby. So I did that. And then you also mentioned Raz Usheroff, and I believe you recently did a post, if I'm not mistaken, where you tagged a bunch of people who'd been on your
Yes.
podcast. I think she was one of them, because when I
Yes.
tagged her, she was showing us a first level connection. And I think what happened was when you tagged that group of us, we all connected with I don't know if you knew that. We all connected with each
Oh, I'm
other.
so glad.
Like
That's
we were like behind the scenes,
yes.
and I don't remember who started it, but one person did, and I think we all kind of connected with each other. So you
That's such a
got a snowball going there.
that gift is the invisible ripple that we have. So that's
Yeah,
awesome. Love that.
yeah, exactly.
That's
And
awesome.
when you were talking about, I think this whole concept of the best time to make a pivot, we're talking about, when you said when your cup is feeling empty, and sometimes it's in circumstances that you have no control. And I think, I've talked to a lot of people who are self-employed, founders, etc.,
Mhm.
who never intended to be self-employed. They were going to be, I mean, myself included, I was going to be a corporate employee for life. I was going to be a chief marketing officer until the one day when I was told that my position was being eliminated or reconfigured or whatever they called it. And then it's like, well, I got nothing to lose. I might as well try this, right? Is that the best time to make a pivot, when you've got nothing to lose and it's worth trying? What do you think?
Well, I did make the biggest pivot of my life when I did feel that the doors were closing, and it was during COVID. And I had helped, for all the wonderful people that are watching this that I know from my previous company, it was a really hard decision for me because I
Mhm.
just really enjoyed my team. But I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I always wanted to do something to impact women. And it was just one of those moments where, if not now, I don't know when else is going to be a
Yeah.
better time, because it really was, the doors had closed for me to be able to fly through the window. And so I think we all have that moment, and we have to listen to the messages we're getting. A lot of
Mhm.
times we'll be closed. There'll be messages coming at us, and you want to discount it. You're really good at this. It comes easy to you. I'm not going to pay attention to that thing because that comes easy. And isn't it supposed to be hard? No,
Right. Mhm.
no, do something that you enjoy. And I will say that, a lot of the audience may be self-employed, or in that new moment. And there's going to be so many moments where you think, but I started as this. Don't I have to stay like this? No.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the same with a career. Careers are not linear. They're no longer just this way, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. Let me try this. And if it doesn't work, yes, of course, there's a financial risk to all of that. We can't ignore. But when you're
Yeah.
making a pivot, it's really important to be open to what the things are coming to you and the people you're meeting. It's not accidental. I believe we met through the
Yeah.
wonderful Bobby Carlton and Innovation Women. And that is a magical group, and it's wonderful to connect with people. So
It
that
truly is. And I don't even remember what it was, if we were in a breakout session and we
must
just
have been a
clicked.
breakout, maybe, right? Or
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
low
it's
key,
just.
I might have stalked you because I'm like, you're from Michigan. I like you.
Yeah, I don't know. And then right away, it was funny because we got on I think we did like a discovery call, and we were kind of
Mm,
shitty chatting back and forth. And we both like pink. For people that are watching right now, you can see we both got pink as
spoiler.
a color. And I was telling Natalie in the pre-show, I just got back from walking Pepper, and it's just cold. I mean, it's freezing here in Michigan. It's like, I'm looking at my temperature, 19 degrees. I don't know. Remind me, where are you at, Natalie?
Chicago, it was like negative.
Yeah.
In the negatives. We'll
Yeah,
just leave it
it's
at that.
pretty brisk where we are at. So
Yes.
I just took the dog for a walk. I came
Mhm.
back in, and Natalie is at a standing desk. And I don't know if I told you this whole thing. So after our last conversation, I posted, I did a post on LinkedIn about it. And I don't even remember what it was that I posted. It was something about the color. I said there's an error in the post, and I can't remember what it was. But anyways, after that, not relevant to the standing desk thing, after that, I have a standing desk and I hardly ever use it. I mean, occasionally when I think about it, I use it. And I enrolled in a program, Dr. Preeti Jha, and it's strength training for women over 40. And I was asking her, I'm like, my friend Natalie, I'm like, she's my new bestie. I just met her, but she's like, she does a standing desk and she uses it all day long. And I'm like, I started doing it and my legs are getting tired. I try to shift position and Preeti's like, yeah, it is actually really good for you, but try to like take a break every hour or 90 minutes and sit down and go up. And I'm like, okay. So I was doing that for a while. And in the morning, I would be using the standing desk. And in the afternoon, I'd be sitting. And I told Natalie before the call, I'm like, I want to be at my standing desk because Natalie's standing, but I'm like, I'm just so tired. I'm just so drained right now. Like, I think it's the cold, but you got to pay attention to, getting back to the conversation, you got to pay attention to your body signals, your psychology, how things are feeling. In your personal life and in your day to day. And I think that's the same when it comes to your business or your career and when you make a pivot, right?
Yes.
Anything to add on to that?
Well, people that have known me for a while, because I've been standing for a few decades now.
Yeah.
People that know me know that I have a back-to-back desk and I have a BOSU on the backside and
That's
I'm
right.
standing and moving. And that's the key for me. Because I think if I were just standing only, that would be fatiguing. So anyone that's thinking about a standing desk, move a little bit, find a way to move. You don't have to do what I do, which is kind of crazy, but but yeah, getting back, talking about being ready to make changes. I think you have to listen both to your body, like you're saying, when it's really cold, because when it is really cold, we have to be ready for those moments, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So great. We have a comment. I love that.
We do. And I think I mentioned to you, I was just texting back and forth with my son and he was all proud of himself because he's finally listening to his mom and he's getting more active on LinkedIn. And he just was texting me. He's like, I'm posting on LinkedIn, right? It was like, as we were going live, I'm hitting my intro video and I'm texting him. And I said, hey, we're going live on LinkedIn right now. You should come and watch us. And he's like, where? And I told him, go to my profile. So he found it and super proud that Joshua's in the audience here today. He's saying, love the background setups. Looking forward to learning a lot during this live. And we're glad to have you on here. Yes. Joshua, I think I'm going to have him on my podcast sometime in 2026, Natalie.
Love it.
Ever done a family member interview on your podcast? I
have not, but I plan to. I was just in Dallas with my daughter and I was like, we should be doing a podcast because I have my mic with me, but we didn't. So maybe it'll be over the holidays and I'll release it next week.
There you go.
So you never know. I love that idea. And welcome, Joshua. It's really great to see you.
Yeah. Great. So we're here today for those that maybe are joining us a little bit late. We're here today talking about the best time to make a pivot with Natalie. And she's talked about a couple different things, aligning yourself with people who can help to support you, with people that you can kind of pay it forward to, do that net giving so that when you need some help, they can help you as well. Not making those fast decisions without talking to others first, except in those circumstances where a decision's been made for you, right? And then you have to kind of figure out what's next. What about for you, Natalie, lessons learned as it relates to pivots that you've made throughout your career? What would you say?
Well, as it relates to my career, I was in the same industry for a long, long time. And so for me, it was probably more on the types of clients I was working with than the actual work I was doing, because I was in sales my whole career, in business development and growth transformation until which I still am, but in a different way. But I think in terms of pivots, when we are, I love your cup. Show it again.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Go blue.
Yes. Okay. Had to get my
I'm putting this on my podcast. It's actually going to go later today because I haven't published an episode yet this week. So for those that are listening on the podcast, I just took a sip out of my University of Michigan Athletics cup. And as I was doing it, Natalie's like, oh, I like your cup.
Yes. For all of the Michigan alumni here in Chicago, go blue and around the world. So I think as you think about, making that pivot, and for me, it was mainly industries, and I ended up landing very heavily slanted in healthcare, med device, pharma, and that I launched a lot of drugs. I launched a lot of products in the trade show industry. And when I left, I was really fortunate that I had surrounded myself with all these wonderful people that were leaders in the healthcare industry. And so that really helped me with starting her C-suite. But I think as a business owner, when I started, we were focused on very narrow, women that were vice presidents getting to the C-suite. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, we have expanded into this portfolio career idea, which that is where you just have to listen to what people are asking you about and
Mm-hmm.
be curious about, okay, so you're feeling stuck about this, or I would have people come to me and say, hey, do you have people that are ready for boards? And I thought, well, we do, but we don't have
Yeah.
a program. And so then I partnered with Naomi Kent, who I just really enjoy working with her, and we do a lot of great things together. And so we do board readiness programs together. And so that was one of the biggest first pivots, was moving away from just this narrow focus to being a little broader.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had asked me about, well, who do we serve?
Right.
Entrepreneurs. It's like, well, that's great for me too, to be able to ask women like, hey, let's hire each other. So
Mm-hmm.
so I think you have to be ready for it, depending on what you are. If you're a business, what are your customers asking you for? What do they need? And how are you solving it? And it sounds so basic and obvious, but it also applies to you as well. What do you
Mm-hmm.
need as a leader? Because
Yeah.
a lot of times we tend to put things ourselves in the background, and you're like, no, 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 I'm going to put everyone's oxygen mask on first. So you mentioned AI, and that has become like this. I could just spend all day every day doing it. I just love learning. So you
So
have
how did you get into that? I'm curious because it seems like such a I think a lot of people are getting involved with it lately, but some people are more resisting it, some people
yeah.
are leaning into it. So how did it become part of your business and your area of specialty?
Well, two things happened. One, I started putting it into we had AI being in all the masterminds. How
Mm-hmm.
can we use it? And discovering there's some things that don't use AI, and some need it. And then my nonprofit, Her Health X, wanting to solve a problem that AI could really help. And then I thought, well, how do I bring these two things together? Because I felt like I had two halves of my life.
Yeah.
And so I think
Wow.
that's how you really, if you're open to learning, you
Mm-hmm.
will also learn about making pivots that make sense for you and your business, or bringing things together, or moving the parts around. So that's really what happened for me. Was I really like this and I like learning. And then the last piece was the wealth transfer coming in 2030. And that's the piece that we want to solve with Next Lead AI, and making a pivot into that for her C-suite officially. So
Yeah.
um, I think
So
every
let me
time.
lean into that a little bit. So you said the wealth transfer coming in 2030. Tell us more about that. That sounds really interesting.
Well, it's been well documented that there's going to be the greatest wealth transfer between 2028 to 2030 for women. It's because of demographics and the aging population, but also there's other factors. And I really wanted women to be driving the conversation of AI. And so just getting curious about what does that look like for leaders, and how can we do that? And getting curious and excited. And every day I start my day learning. That's the first thing I do, kind of crazy. And I think that's really important for pivots, is you have to get curious and pay attention to what you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really easy to push aside the things that bring you joy, and it's not impossible to have that in your life, and help guide your pivot decisions.
Interesting. Now, when you said you start your day with learning,
I do.
where do you learn? Where do you get your information from, and how do you find? It sounds like you're getting new sources of information all the time. So where do you get that from?
I read newsletters. I start my day reading newsletters, and learning. I sometimes take a course first thing if I'm working out or whatever.
I like it.
So
Yeah.
I really focus on learning for about the first 45 minutes to an hour every day before even
Wow.
doing anything. I
I,
just It's a really great way to start the day. You
yeah.
kickstarts ideas flying around. So yeah.
Yeah, I like to use analogies too, and it reminds me of like the working out analogy. If you work out once, you might feel a little bit sore the next day, but you're really not going to see that long-term benefit. But if you worked out every day, by day 30, you're going to feel better. What do they say? Like by day 60, people are going to notice it on you. But I think about the same methodology with learning. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if you were like Natalie and you started every day with 30 to 45 minutes of learning, where you would be a year from now compared to other industry peers, people that do similar work to you, your competitors, your former coworkers, your team members, your leadership. Like, can you just imagine where you would be if you applied that same methodology. And when I was asking Natalie, how do you learn? Everybody learns differently. I love that you said newsletter. Some people learn from podcasts. You also
I
mentioned
do listen to podcasts.
yeah. Yeah. But I think figure out the format that works best for you. I used to love reading books, like hardcover books, and I got kind of burned out of that. And I shifted, this was back years ago, audiobooks before podcasts were really a big thing. But I think you got to find the format that works best for you. And it sounds like for you, the newsletters and the online courses are really helpful for you. Is that right?
There is one thing that we share in common with our dogs, because
Yeah.
one day our dogs are going to meet. I'm sure of it. But
Aw.
because they're like cousins. So
Mhm.
I do listen to podcasts when I walk my dog.
Yeah.
And so there's two in particular that are awesome for marketing and for AI in general. And so I listen to those and I infuse that into my learning. Yeah. So do this, not that.
Okay. I was going to say, share the titles with us.
Do
Don't be
this, not
shy.
that. Jay Schwedelson. I have to say, I
Mhm.
laugh, love, and apply every time I listen to his 10
Oh,
minutes.
cool.
10 minutes. It's so fast.
Yeah.
And then AI Explored, which is social media marketing worlds,
Yeah.
took, it's that group and AI Explored, and it's great, great insights on practical things for marketers. So
Good. I think I've dabble listened to both of them, but now that you've said, I mean, you're somebody who I hold in high esteem, high regard. I'm gonna look at them and I'm gonna add to my
well,
playlist.
I hope I don't disappoint. You're making
No,
me.
I'm sure they'll be great. It's interesting too how, when you find people, when you surround yourself with people, like you mentioned earlier, when you surround yourself with people who are supporters of you, who are going to lift you up, who are going to help you, who are going to gut check you, and help to support you as you continue to grow and evolve and make those pivots. When you get advice from them, it's like, going to a trusted librarian and saying, what book should I read about this? And they say this, and that's like the gospel. Now you're like, I got to read this book because they said it's going to be great. I think it's the same thing when it comes to podcasts, or other referrals, when someone that you respect and is successful is saying, you should listen to this podcast. I like it. You might like it too. You're like, oh, I'm definitely going to like it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
There was two other things. I made myself a note, and I don't know if I told you this. I've got like the standing desk, but it has like a whiteboard top, so I can use like a
Oh,
dry erase marker.
awesome. I
It's
love
good.
that. I
It's
need
good
that.
and bad because it has a dry erase marker, and if you put your sleeve over top, it'll like erase things on it. But it's for things like this, for very temporary. You
I
can
love
make
it.
like quick notes on call. So I wrote two things I want to talk about when I was asking you earlier about career, and then I want to talk about when you said doing things that feel easy, shouldn't they feel hard? So I had two kind of quick not really stories, but when I said career, tell us about times in your career that you've made pivot, and you talked about your corporate career. Now, do you consider yourself, someone is self-employed, that's your career too, but do you immediately when you hear the word career, do you go to corporate career, or do you think
Mm.
of your career today, what you're doing today?
Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, I think it is true that it is both. And I've been doing this 5 years, so it's about time that I think of this as like the
Right?
career now,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I think I probably have equated that longevity, the thing that I did the longest probably.
Mhm.
And now I've been doing this for 5 years. So
Yeah.
good
And I,
point. Thanks,
and
Brenda.
I can say I do the same thing too, because I talk about working in a 20 plus year corporate career in
Yes.
marketing before launching my own business. It's not that my career stopped. It's just my career took a pivot and I'm in a different direction. Now,
Yeah.
my son who's watching right now, he's been an employee, but just on and off. He's really been self-employed. He's an entrepreneur, like from, graduation, basically. He just turned 21 and his career has been mainly self-employed. So it's interesting to think about, just that word. I didn't even think about it until you were talking of like, oh, I said career, but I was really thinking of, where you are today and pairing that together. But the word career does, I think, prompt a lot of people to think corporate. So it was kind of a thing. And then when you mentioned earlier, when you're self-employed for a company and you're doing things and you're like, well, this is easy. Shouldn't it feel hard? It made me think about something that happened over the weekend. I got an email from someone I don't know. And he said, hey, I'm locked out of my LinkedIn account. Can you help me? Here's my URL. And and I said, maybe. I said, but there's no guarantees. I don't work for LinkedIn, but I can certainly help with troubleshooting. And he said, I'll pay you for your time. And I said, of course, here's my payment link. And I gave him a 1 hour link. and he booked it immediately. And then he forwarded me the emails he got from LinkedIn, and we went through, and I was able to help contact, like filling out a form on LinkedIn. At this time, he had 3 LinkedIn accounts. He couldn't get into any of them.
Oh,
The
wow.
one that he wanted access to was, over, I don't know, thousands of connections inside there. Um, we couldn't figure out the email that he used for that. We even looked at somebody who was connected to him and his family, couldn't figure it out. So I helped him. And I'm like, honestly, Natalie, it was easy for me because I understand how LinkedIn works. I understand their contact forms. I've seen this situation happen to other people before when you are going through a verification process and they send an email, a code to your email, and then you go in the app and you go back. And he got into this vicious loop where it kept bouncing him from the desktop to the app, to the app, to the desktop. And it kept trying to verify code. And I said, we just need to get out of this. And we tried clearing the cookies. But I felt like for me, that was easy. And I was joking with my husband. I'm like, that was like the easiest $250. It was like a 1 hour power hour. I go, that was the easiest $250. I mean, I spent a little over an hour's worth of time working with him on this. But when you say that, like, shouldn't it be hard? Like, I think that's a perfect example. Does that prompt anything for you?
Well, it's interesting. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about my friend Lori Wessels, who's actually in my book and has been a mentor, one of the founding members of her C-suite. And she has this thing, love like capable. And she talks about that often. And if you think about, you love doing that problem solving. And so solving that problem solving, and I'm the same way. I love problem solving. Like you give me a problem and I can generally solve it in an hour. That sounds ridiculous, but it's true. I see these dots and I can, capable is probably accounting. It's like,
yeah, right.
like the things that, maybe not as much fun, not creative. So love, like, I think we sometimes forget those things that we love, and it's great because it comes easily. And that is what we should be leaning into as we think about pivots, or think about your pie, right? And you're a big person with the slices of pie. How do you have a bigger slice of pie on LinkedIn, right?
Right.
So if you think about your career in that way, well, how much time are you going to devote to the thing that you love the most? And it's really easy when you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, you get tied into the in the business and on the business, and which are you supposed to be doing? And it can be tricky, right? And so it's important to give yourself the fun. I love creating new things. I'm come up with new ideas all the time. You have to give yourself the leeway to do that, because then the great ideas come forward, and the pivots to things that you love, or not. You can decide not to pivot.
Yeah, and that's okay too. I mean, maybe that's a whole other discussion for another podcast. When should you not make a pivot? You should go back. I don't know. At any rate, Natalie, as we start to wind down our conversation today, I want to ask the question. Let me just stop this up on screen. If people are interested in working with you, tell us a bit about your services and where we can go to learn more.
Oh, thank you so much, Brenda. I really appreciate it. So hercsuite.com is the best place. And if you have any questions directly, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So I love getting messages. I'll be glad to answer anyone's questions. I do work one-to-one with companies and advise. So if you're stuck, I can probably unstuck you in an hour.
It's good. Just keep going with it. They'll just think it's a normal word.
I have a podcast, so you can listen to Brenda and my interview. It was super fun. And I'm just so grateful to be here with you today. I love it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. So first, what's the name of your podcast for those that might want to listen to it?
Women Leaders. Thank you. Women Leaders on the Move. And it started I'm going to hit 250.
Wonderful. That's great. Podcast. And I don't know how many episodes, like you've definitely gone past, I think it's like the 7 episode hurdle or whatever they talk about early on.
But 7 is what they tell you. Yeah.
Right. that you can get through. So for the people that are listening on my podcast right now, I'm going to spell out the website, hercsuite.com, HER, the letter C, SUITE.com. And then if you do visit Natalie's profile, I'm going to share that up on screen. But if you're listening on the podcast right now, linkedin.com/in/ and it's Natalie. Last name is Benamou. I will put the link in show notes as well, but I always like to spell it out in case somebody happens to be listening on their walker in their car and they're like, her C-suite, and they're looking up SEE suite or something. And they're like, why can't I find it on there? So yeah, this has been just such a delight to have the chance to chat with you. And we actually had to move the call. I had a conflict later in the week, so we had to change our time a little bit on here. So thank you for your flexibility on that. Any final comments for us, Natalie, on making a pivot before we wrap up our call?
I just think if people really get clear on what's important, know your values, know what's important to you, and listen to those messages, you'll know when it's right. And don't be afraid to make a step and move forward in the right direction.
Yeah. Great. And in the meantime, get surround yourself with those people like Natalie out there, right? Who can help.
Like I'm so lucky.
Here we go. Let's do that. Hey, point at my side and I'm going to point at your side.
Oh, I got to go this way.
And then look at the camera, because this is going to be my still photo for YouTube when I put the video up there later.
Yay! Thanks everybody for joining us today live, and anyone listening. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all so much. And I'll encourage you, if you're on LinkedIn watching this right now or watching this in playback later, if you have not yet posted this week, this month, or even this year, we're winding down 2025 right now as we're recording this. There's a link at the bottom of the video. After you're done watching it, click on share and share that video along. Tag Natalie and myself in the post when you do so. Use the @ and type in our names until you see us appear in the drop down. That way we'll get notified, and maybe tell people a reason they should watch the video here. So maybe you picked up some helpful tips that could be inspiring others. You never know where the future may lead and how that can help others with their learnings and their business as well. With that said, thank you all so much for watching today. My name is Brenda Meller. This show is called Enthusiastically Self-Employed, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the day and a happy holiday season as well. Take care, everyone. And thanks again, Natalie.